Olivier Giroud knocked England out of the World Cup. And we have at least 2 England fans here. We're going to have to talk about the Frenchman because he's been in incredible form. He's broken Thierry Henry's record for France. And people are finally starting to go, he is very, very, very underrated. We were sat here about, I want to say, a week and a half ago, and we had this sort of discussion around, is Giroud actually underrated? Is he rightly rated? I think he's proven this World Cup at the moment that he's extremely underrated.
Of course, and I'm a Chelsea fan, and I remember Olivier Giroud top scoring for us when we won the Europa League. He scored in the final. I remember him scoring important goals in our run-up to win the Champions League final a couple of seasons ago. He is so underrated. If you look at his goal-scoring record when he was at Arsenal, it was actually very good.
73 league goals in 180 games.
I mean, like, you expect Gabriel Jesus to maybe score more than that or score a higher rate than that, but that's not a bad return for a man who wasn't in the best Arsenal side. He goes to Chelsea, he wins the Champions League, he wins the Europa League, he wins an FA Cup, then he leaves Chelsea and he goes to Serie A with AC Milan and he wins the title in his first season. He's an incredible striker that brings so much to the table, that makes players around him better, and he's one of these late bloomers and late developers, and you love to see it because he seems like the epitome of a teammate. He makes everybody else play their best football, and I think when all is said and done, he will go down as one of these strikers that is within the pantheons of great international strikers in football.
Yeah, I mean, I think when he broke the record, it was sort of like a story of his French career, because he broke the record, scored the goal, and the headlines were all about him for about 30 seconds, and then Mbappe scores 2 and sort of takes it away from him. So, I mean, to have that record against Thierry Henry is, I mean, it's absolutely outstanding, really. And I don't know if there's a bit of sort of naivety or like a bit of negativity around him, because he is that sort of old-fashioned striker that maybe we don't have so much in the game a bit more, and like you maybe don't, like every time we look at his goal records, everyone's like, oh, I didn't expect him to score that many, but he has done that, and I just think he's extremely underrated. And what he's doing, if he can get France a World Cup as well, it'll be mainly down to him, I think.
I mean, what's interesting is in the last tournament France won, he didn't score a goal. I don't think he had a shot on target. That was the big talk at the time. And I wonder if he's actually gone in his mind that, look, that tournament, I was so unselfish. I was laying everything on a plate for everyone else. It's my turn to be a little more selfish. He's starting to take shots on in areas where you kind of go... He definitely wasn't doing that in the previous World Cup. In the previous World Cup, he was almost playing like as a front man. They played it off him and then played. Now they're actually going, you're going to be the last piece in the jigsaw. 31% goal conversion rate, which is really high. I look at that and I go, at what point do we start to say, forget underrated? Because in my eyes, I think he is the most underrated striker of all time that I've ever seen. Where in your list does he sit in terms of just strikers on the whole, so that he can become more rated?
But the thing is, I mean, we cast our mind back 3 or 4 weeks. He probably wasn't even going to start for France.
Yeah.
Benzema's coming into the World Cup. He gets injured, and he's France's forgotten man at some points. And I know he didn't score in that World Cup, but obviously he brought so much to the French team. And going into this one, he was literally forgotten about, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, and he is that forgotten man, and teams always seem to be looking for a better option than Olivier Giroud. But it seems like there is no better option, especially if you've got those creative players around him. And I think what's benefited him the most in this tournament is Griezmann playing a little bit of a different role. Like Griezmann in the last tournament was scoring goals. He was France's top scorer in the competition. We saw it against England. He got the assist for Giroud. There's an incredible cross, and we see Griezmann providing a lot more for his French teammates. I think Giroud has benefited off the back of that, and the rest of the team has benefited as well. If you look at that France attack, is formidable, and Benzema is of course the current Ballon d'Or holder. But I think this France team is probably better with Giroud starting up top.
I'm going to ask a question that people don't want to hear right now. So turn away if you're still upset about Harry Kane in England. Is there a conversation to be had, especially considering this World Cup?
Don't do it. Don't do it.
There's got to be a conversation in terms of this World Cup as to if you were picking a combined 11, like a lot of people have been, and people going, it's Kane every single day of the week. Giroud this World Cup has genuinely played better than Harry Kane, and he's scored more goals, and he scored the critical goals. And I don't want to say Harry Kane missed a pen, and that means Harry Kane's not a good striker, etc., etc. But I'm saying head-to-head in this World Cup alone, in fact, in the last 2 World Cups, Olivier Giroud definitely has an argument to say I've been the best striker in these tournaments, and I'm definitely ahead of Kane if you're picking combined 11s.
Well, I'm Argentinian. My dad's from Buenos Aires. That's beside the point. I think with Harry Kane, I love Southgate, want him to stay, but I just think the 2 around him have never been spot on. Like the best he had was probably Marcus Rashford, and we saw that in the Welsh game with that extra pace, and him dropping deeper sort of really allowed Rashford to shine. And I just don't think we really know the best 2 around Harry Kane, and that sort of really played into that. I mean, look at the Iran game, look, that third goal with the ball in for the assist and everything. He's been asked to play a different role, so I just think maybe it's not fair on him to say that too much just because of the players around him.
I'm buttoning this down.
Getting ready to go.
I don't want any more Olivier Giroud slander.
There's not going to be slander, but you're a man who likes numbers and you look into football quite a lot. Look at the goal contributions, though. Harry Kane has contributed to 5 goals. He's got 3 assists, which is joint most assists in the tournament. And he scored a couple of goals. Granted, one of them was from the penalty spot. He probably should have scored another goal. But Harry Kane's had an effect on this tournament. Harry Kane's always going to have an effect. It's no wonder he had 20 goals in the Premier League and he was top assist as well a couple of seasons ago. So I think Harry Kane's not had the tournament that he would have liked, and England have gone out earlier than France. But Harry Kane puts that penalty away and England's managed to go through, then we're talking about a different thing right now.
Can I question your question with a question?
You can question my question with a question.
If Harry Kane's in that French team, do you think there's another chat to be had? Because if he's almost got the missing pieces that we need around him. Do you know what I mean? In terms of Griezmann, around Dembele.
I think tactically speaking, I mean, I love Harry Kane as a footballer, but I think tactically speaking, Giroud's a better fit for that front three. In the same way, like you just said, I think Giroud fits the French front three better than Benzema as well. Yeah. My problem with Kane is, even in the game between England and France, at times he's at right midfield picking the ball up. And I think in tournament football, if your number 9 is the one you think is going to score most of your goals, he's the most clinical player in your team, you want him in the box. And if you're not in the box for 98% of the game, you're not going to score important goals. Yes, there was 2 penalties and he missed one and he scored the other one. But in open play, he actually only created 1 chance, with Hugo Lloris did well to save. Yeah. But Giroud had 2 clear-cut chances in a game where France were barely creating a chance. That for me is like that's where you want your number 9.
Yeah.
So if I had to swap them over, do I think Kane would be more successful in this France team? I don't think so. I think Giroud is actually the best that people can have. I still think this is what I mean. Like you were just saying, people always go, "There's a better one than Giroud." He's proven there isn't in 2 different ways in 2 different tournaments.
I suppose what goes for him as well, he's like the antithesis for Kane in terms of he's had a trophy-laden career. Even back to when he was at Montpellier and they won Ligue 1. He comes to Arsenal, wins 3 FA Cups, wins multiple trophies at Chelsea, and then his first season in Serie A wins a title. Whereas Kane, we know how many goals he scored. He's going to break Wayne Rooney's record. I know he's level with it at the moment. He's probably going to get close to or beat Alan Shearer's Premier League record, but he's got no trophies to show for it. And at the end of the day, hardware talks in football when you're having these type of conversations. And what benefits Olivier Giroud is that he's won a lot of trophies.
And I think on the international level as well, just like last night, I thought really showed that the France have been there and done that. Like when we were on top, they soaked up the pressure, and the fact that like Olivier Giroud was playing even in, what was it, like the 5th or 10th minute when he had that header and managed to elongate his neck around like a giraffe and get it onto goal. Like he was there all the time. And as a fan watching it, like you said, when you see Harry Kane on the halfway line and we're trying to chase a goal, it's a bit like, I might have to agree with you, which really does sicken me.
I'm never wrong.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.